This should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
Yes.
Yes, we're live. We're ready to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. As you see, we're zooming out from the Netherlands, and you hear my folks talking in the background when I'm telling them to not talk. It's the Maastricht Edition coming at you right now. How about that?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Maastricht Edition.
Hello.
Live here from the confused people in Maastricht.
It's too hot. Our brains are fried. We can't cope with this. We're a Welsh, English, and Irish person. We're not used to 30-plus degree heat.
No.
Really?
Yes, it is a little bit Betty today for sure.
Betty Swallows it is, yeah.
And I think it's set to be Betty for a little bit longer.
Well, yeah, tune in later for the weather update. I may surprise you.
Fantastic. And that's not only for tuning in for Tracey and the news. We've got lots going on this evening.
So much
going on. Sarah Hiley is going to be coming to talk to us today about her little pop-up store that she's got, selling children's English books. Mm-hmm. She'll be joining us later. We've got an exclusive performance from Josh Ireland later on this evening as well. And, of course, we have all our usual segments. But first of all, how are you guys?
Still hot.
Betty.
I'm so wet.
Okay, so basically there is a shared moistness this evening.
Oh no, we don't like that word, Joe.
Moist.
Oh, goodness me. But yes, I feel sorry for Matthew, and although I love Matthew with his beard, I can imagine it must be uncomfortable with this heat.
Oh, so bad. I think I'm just used to it now.
Probably are.
I think the hair on top's more the problem.
No, so
on my neck, I'm not used to that.
Yeah, it's his first summer with long hair, you see. Yes.
Have you got it growing all down your back as well?
No, I just end at the bottom of my neck.
No, I meant really on your back.
No.
Like a bear.
Not yet.
No, you're too young for that.
Like a bear. Oh my goodness.
Why is that funny?
Oh, what's that? That's a posh bear. Hurrah. That's a really posh bear.
A moist, posh bear.
A moist posh bear, right.
It's the worst.
If you're going to do an impression of a bear, I want a proper growl.
I'm not sure if I can do a bear.
Make it moist. Make it moist. Go.
We're going into dangerous territories here.
No. This is a completely child-friendly. Go nuts.
So anyway, what have you guys been up to this week? Tracey, how's your week been?
I've had an exciting week.
Oh.
Yes, I know. Yesterday, thanks to our lovely Jason, hi Foxy, I did my first ever YouTube interview. With the lovely Dr. Asha Prasad, who I think is going to tune in this evening. Yeah. And that was quite fun. Very nerve-wracking, but a lot of fun. And I've also, oh my God, I ordered myself online. As you know, I'm from Ireland.
Yes.
And as you know, in Ireland, yeah, I know, shocking. People didn't know. They're writing in on Facebook now. What? You're kidding.
To be sure.
Obviously, I speak English, but of course we have another language in Ireland, Gaelic. And I decided to invest. I studied Gaelic in school, but I didn't really invest as much time as I probably wish I had done looking back. So I bought myself one of these books to teach yourself the language. And it arrived. I got my little book. The only problem is that the audio part came in the form of a cassette. So I was wondering why it was such a cheap purchase. Go Amazon. And I just obviously made a mistake and ordered the cassette instead of the CD. So now this past week, hence how excited.
Not much of an improvement offering a CD in this day and age.
Back to the Future. You've gone back to the 80s, ordered your cassette, and then it's come through 30 years later.
I've got no cassette player. So I've been looking online to see if I can find a reasonably priced, decent quality cassette player so I can start learning my Gaelic.
So next week you can send it back.
Well, I could send it back, but it's such a hassle. It's going to cost me more to send it back and order it again. So I'm committed.
I think I know why you haven't done this, actually, Tracey, because you're a retro girl at heart.
I
think you rather like the idea of having an old cassette player along with your record player. Because
record player, yes.
Exactly. So I think this is all about you being a bit of a retro girl secretly.
It was no mistake.
Let's not knock vinyl, though. I mean, vinyl's made a really big comeback in the last couple of years.
It has.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
true.
But cassettes didn't.
No, but give them time. They'll come back. But in the meantime, my search continues, and I'm hoping later, perhaps over the weekend, maybe, to find a cassette player, and then I can begin my studies. And as of next week, maybe I can start
Fantastic.
arming you with some Gaelic words.
You
and
should go check out the Kringlopes. They're really good for that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
Our Kringlope in Maastricht closed.
Oh. Is there only one?
Well, there's only one in Maastricht, and as you know, I rarely leave the city boundaries. So,
The one near the park.
no, the one near the university up the hill.
Well, that suggests
the
that
one I
there's
meant.
more than one then, if there's one near the park.
Yes, I don't know the one near.
There's
the
one near the D'Artagnan statue. Like if you go back in around that way, and then on I don't know what that street's called, Pondered Straat or something.
That's the one that closed.
Oh, I used to love that one. Okay.
So let's do a shout out this evening. First of all, Tracey wants to find herself a cassette player
Yes.
so that she can learn Gaelic. We're looking for a Kringlope Winkle, also known as the Crinkly Winkly. Anyway, in Maastricht, if anybody out there can actually steer Tracey in the direction of either of those two, then please do let us know. And now, it's possible that maybe either Billy, Ellie, or Adam could do that because they've just joined us. So hello, everybody.
Hi.
Nice to show. So yeah, again, if there's a cassette player out there that Tracey could have, or a Crinkly Winkly in the vicinity that you know is open,
Yes.
then do let us know.
Fantastic.
We're intrigued to hear Tracey speak a little bit of Gaelic here on
Oh,
the show.
indeed. Get off me the Mahagut. There you go. That's the
Slante.
start. Yes,
That's a good
sláinte.
start.
Sláinte is
yeah.
all you need. Yeah. See,
exactly.
Jason's already ahead of the game.
Yeah.
He knows sláinte, Jameson, Ishkabaha, that's whiskey. You're good to
I was
go.
gonna say, these all sound like cocktails.
I know.
Well,
I'll have a launcher.
How has your week been, Joe?
My week has been extremely stimulating. Probably a little bit of overstimulation for me, actually. And the reason being is, and friends of mine who follow me on Facebook will know this, I put a shout out this week because our magnificent cherry tree that we have in the garden with the goats came into harvest this week. So we did a big shout out asking anybody who wants to come and pick some cherries that they are more than welcome to come on over. Now, this cherry tree probably produces around about 500 kilos of cherries every single year. We can only access about 120 kilos. We got loads of people over. We had in our back garden, socially distanced, 14 different nationalities.
Wow.
14. We had Iran, we had Mexico, we had Argentina, we had Indonesia, we had India, we had Romania, we had Hungary, we had Suriname, we had so many different people.
Wow.
And all staggered over the weekend. And I have to say, I was a little bit exhausted at the end of it, if I'm honest, because having not seen anybody that close for so long, and then all of a sudden I've got a garden full of these people, socially distanced, and chatting and just watching where everybody is. It was exhausting, but it was lovely. It was really, really lovely.
for those of us just joining and don't know the context of Joe's conversation, she's describing the plot of her adult film.
Yeah.
I'd say rewind, go back and take a look at the feed, rewind and figure out what she's talking about. But right now we're going to stick with the fact that, she's describing the adult film she produced in her backyard.
or describing the United Nations that met underneath my cherry tree. So yes.
Potato. Okay.
So that's what's been going on, as well as a little bit of baking with my cherries, of course, and
Nice.
it's been lovely. It's been really, really lovely. So it's a week of cherries.
Innuendo.
A cherry week.
Now's when I take my leave of the show, I think.
Joined us in the garden at the weekend. She has joined the show as well. She says she's still eating the cherries. Isn't that nice? Susan's in the house. Hello, Susan. Paul's with us. Hi, Paul. Wendy in Portugal. Hello. Good evening. Lovely to see you.
Hello.
Yeah, it's Cherry Week. What about you, Matt?
That's the name of your movie.
It's Cherry Week.
Cherry Week.
Yeah, okay.
All right, okay. Well, we'll talk about that later.
Actually, it does sound like a Paul name, doesn't it? Cherry Week.
I think cherry picking is better.
Ooh, cherry picking. Now that's a title.
Wait. I've lost what we're talking about. I'm going to head to the background here.
He's taking a time out. He's got to go.
We'll see you later, Jason.
I went to IKEA as well. I did this weekend.
You went to IKEA?
Nice.
Yeah.
What did you buy? Hold on. Let me rephrase that. What did you go to buy, and what did you actually buy?
We went to buy a light and lamps, and we bought a frame, which is behind me, actually.
Oh, very nice it is too.
And so, what's that a picture of?
That is a picture of the UK. It's a map.
Oh, is it? The light's shining on it. I can't really see it. It looks kind of oldie worldy.
It does look
Yeah,
old worldy.
Oh, no.
Oh, zooming in.
Ah, yes.
Now we can see it.
Yes, looks a bit more familiar.
Yes.
There you are.
It's literally just Scotland's been chopped off there at the
Yeah,
top.
it's just England and Wales. Yeah, that's what I was doing. We cycled, and it was roasting.
Yeah.
And it was also very busy.
I can imagine. How did it go with social distancing? Did you have to
it
wear
didn't really,
masks?
to be honest. I mean, it's a bit difficult in IKEA at the best of times, but people were not following the rules. I was doing my best.
Yeah.
I've decided I'm just going to stick to the rules. If everyone else doesn't, that's their fault.
I kind of get the impression that social distancing is a thing of the past now.
Yeah.
And they've recently relaxed the rules a bit more now, so we can have these whopping great big parties now. So I think that's it. Game over.
As of 1st of July, indeed. So,
But I expect you'll be talking about that in the news, Tracey.
I do have a little update around the COVID stuff, indeed.
Okay.
But it is quite, we actually went to Aachen last week, Friday, and there's a bit more strict, actually. People were very socially distanced on the street and actually avoiding you if you didn't look like you were going to avoid them.
Right.
And indeed, you had to wear face masks inside every shop.
Yeah.
And people were very, again, just avoiding each other. So in Aachen, people were really obeying by the rules for sure.
Okay.
But yes,
Jean's joined us from the UK. Hi, Jean.
Hi, Jean.
Hi, Jean.
Hi, Jean.
We're just
Indeed.
talking about hygiene. Sanitising yourself and all that. There you go. Hi,
Very
Jean.
important.
Ellie's with us as well. Hello, Ellie. She's
Hello,
actually eating cherries as we speak.
Good Lord, you're feeding the millions.
Well, these are not my cherries. These are other cherries.
From her
She
own
also
tree.
has a tree in her garden. So,
See?
yeah.
Right.
There's a
It is
lot
the
of us
cherry
with cherries
season,
going on.
isn't it?
But
Cherry.
but yeah, I've got a voucher from IKEA. I have a voucher to spend, and of course it's very tempting. But I'm going to hold off a little bit longer. I think,
Go in the
especially
evening.
also while
If
it's
you go
so
in the
hot at the
evening,
moment.
it's a lot quieter.
Well, of course, whenever we go, my husband likes to take the opportunity to wine and dine me at
It's closed, though.
IKEA.
So
The restaurant's
romantic.
closed.
A little romantic meal for two over the meatballs.
Right. Yes. Well, enough said about that.
The veggie meatballs do it for me every time. And somebody else who I know likes a meatball is Denis. Hello, Denis.
Hello, Denise. He'll thank you for that later.
I'm sure he will. And a big shout out actually to his husband Michael, who for the last 3 months has been working tirelessly on the front line at Maastricht Hospital. So
Yes.
Michael and all his colleagues, we say a big thank you to you guys for working so hard, for sure. But yes, going back to
that.
Sorry, Matt.
Related to that, did you realise we all watched the Great British Sewing Bee last night? Sorry, spoiler alert. If you did not watch the final, tune out now.
Yes.
But did you realise that Claire is a lung consultant?
I know.
So imagine what she's been going through these past few months, and we're like, oh, she's great sewing, but she's actually really
yes, because
super
of course
important.
this was filmed last year, I believe.
Yeah.
So for one thing, she's had to keep it secret all this time. But yes, as you say, the last few months she has been well and truly in the thick of it, as it were, because she's a lung specialist. So
I think she's the one you want to look after you, because she's really into the details. She'll do it exactly right. She knows what she's doing.
She is, yes.
Indeed.
She's very precise, and you notice when she was doing all her sewing, she was all about the measuring and making sure everything was exact and everything. So, yes, we're all big sewing bee fans here, and we were all glued to the TV last night. And Claire was our favourite, so we're very pleased that Claire won. So congratulations, Claire.
Congratulations, Claire. Yes.
I'm sure she's watching at the moment if she's not at the hospital working. But yes,
that's the only excuse we'll accept.
Yes, exactly. Exactly, but I think it's. I'm really sad that it's finished. It's just been such a highlight during the quarantine.
Yeah.
To have that to look forward to. But I did being a bit sad. I'm on all the Sewing Bee pages on Facebook and Instagram and such like. And there was one thread I was following where somebody has suggested that they should have one of those offshoot programs like they do for Strictly or for what's the little sugar one? The Apprentice.
The Apprentice. Oh, love The Apprentice.
So they should have one for the Sewing Bee where you could actually learn how to do stuff as well.
That would be quite nice. Yes, I'd sign up for that.
Yes.
Well, if you want to watch another series, there's an older series. The first series Joe Lycett did on NPO8.
That's right. I happened to come upon it last week. I thought, yay!
Yeah, we watched it. And then the Great British Bake Off before
following
that.
the Bake Off.
Yeah.
Oh, loving the Bake Off. Okay, I miss Mel and Sue, but I'm warming to Sandy and the other chap. What's his name? No.
Fielding.
Yes.
But Sandy's left now for the new series coming up. It's going to be Matt Lucas and Noel Fielding.
That's probably going to be a riot.
I don't know.
I love Sandy.
I'm not sure
Sandy
either.
Toxvig can't do anything wrong in my eyes.
Oh, but you can't mix the original formula. Mary and Paul, Mel and Sue.
Yeah, that was the best.
Dame Mary. Yes. Right. So we're all going but of course, people who are watching us, they can't see this.
We just look very strange.
Yes. But we've just had a sign put up from Jason about the Library of Things. Now, do you guys remember about the Library of Things?
Former guests.
Because we had a guest on from the Library of Things, didn't we?
We did.
What? Remind our viewers what that is, Matt.
The Library of Things is a bit like a kringloe, where they have lots of old objects and stuff. You don't buy them, you rent them.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's free. Was it free? I think it might be free.
I'm not quite sure anymore, but it's definitely worth investigating, isn't it?
If one wanted a cassette player.
Yeah. One could pass by and check it out.
Yes.
Exciting.
Maybe somebody listening can tell us if the Library of Things is currently open.
Yes.
And maybe remind us exactly of the protocol and what you're supposed to do when you get there and
all
such
of
like that. That would be handy.
My search will continue.
Cheers.
I have high hopes. High hopes. Oh God, I burst into song. Oh dear.
Oh, it's too hot for that.
It's too hot for everything. But it's not too hot to ask a quick question. Who wants to go first? Matt or Joe? What did you learn this week that you didn't know last week?
Oh,
both of us.
Do either of you have anything?
Oh, well, I have something.
Oh,
right. I've got 2 actually this week, and both of them are animal themed.
Ooh, lovely.
I tell you what I know this week that I didn't know last week. Cockroaches get anxious when someone is watching them.
Do
I'm
what?
not surprised.
Just generally.
Right.
Who knew? I mean, I don't know how they've actually measured this, because somebody's like down on the floor next to a load of cockroaches watching them, and then the cockroaches are sort of like, I don't know.
Could
Maybe it's
be.
the noise. They make a weird noise, don't they?
So
Oh, do you think that's what it is?
no, wait a minute. Okay,
A noise sort of like, ooh.
no, but here's the okay. So what you've actually said is, how do they test that? But you've presented a fact saying, well, cockroach they get anxious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How did they determine that?
Well, that's my point.
Yeah, it's not whether how anxious they get or how they get there. I mean, it's just like, did somebody just look at a cockroach and go, I'm looking at you. You seem kind of anxious. You're okay, bud?
I think literally the cockroach is going, ooh.
Well, I suspect it's probably like something in, I don't know, Animal Park, that you've got some chap who works in a section with insects and that they study them, perhaps, maybe, this kind of a thing.
And the guy
I've only
speaks
ever seen-
cockroach.
I've only ever seen one
Maybe
cockroach.
Do a search and see if they can find a picture of a cockroach going,
Poor
All right, I'll be right back.
All right, what was the other thing you learned?
oh, hold on. The other thing, which was also, as I said, animal related, kangaroos keep cool by licking their forearms.
Oh, maybe we should try that.
Well,
Okay.
they do. Yeah. Oh gosh, she's doing it like. What do you taste of, dear?
I taste the
Salty.
cherries. That's no surprise.
No,
I
that's
taste of cherries for the next 3 or 4 weeks, probably.
I think you will actually. The aroma of cherry.
Yes, that's what kangaroos do. They lick their forearms to
Yeah,
keep themselves cool.
And popular men get attention by licking their own elbows.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
How popular are you, Jason?
Your own elbow. How did you do that?
Moving swiftly along.
Go on, Matt. Give it a go.
I can't reach that far.
Well, I'll tell you what we can do, Joe. We can leave Matt trying to lick his elbow while we take a little time out and hear a bit about this day in history. How's that?
Yeah, isn't it?
Because it is
Kangaroos, they lick their forearms to keep cool, but here in Maastricht, of course, to keep still and relaxed, we kind of take some time out, sit in a comfy chair, preferably with the fan on at the moment.
Yes, I've turned it off.
Let's put some air conditioning on if we want to keep cool, because it is time for this day in history. Yes, today it is Thursday, the 25th of June. The longest day of the year has come and gone.
It has. Can I share a horrifying fact?
Oh, this is going to be how many days till Christmas, isn't it?
It is. It's 183 days.
Thank you for that.
Carry on.
Well, let's just hope we don't have a second wave of pandemic and we're all home for Christmas. That doesn't bear thinking about, does it? On our little lonesome onlys, not being able to share it with anybody. There's a depressing
That'd be
thought.
cooler.
Yeah.
Anyway, today is Thursday, the 25th of June. And on this day, in 1630, the humble fork was introduced to American dining by Governor Winthrop.
Oh, right.
Up until then, they did not have a fork.
What do they have? Like a pronged thing or something? Or just a just stab it?
Yeah, they had a spear.
A spear, yes.
I think everyone just used to carry their own knife, didn't they? Everyone used to eat with a knife.
Yeah, they were unable to give a fork.
Yeah. I like a good fork.
I'm partial to a spoon.
1678. Look, the door opened. I had to walk through. On this day in 1678, Venetian Elena Canario Piscopia is awarded a doctorate of philosophy. She is the first woman to receive a university doctoral degree or PhD, and that's in 1678.
Wow.
Now, here's a good one. In 1798, on this very day, the US passes Alien Act, which is allowing the president to deport dangerous aliens. So,
Right.
I put it to you. Who is a dangerous alien? Because I don't think it's E.T. I don't think he was dangerous.
No, we love E.T.
Exactly.
Yes, I have a doll of E.T. His neck,
I
when you
don't
turn...
think you wanted to broadcast that, Tracey.
I'm not. When you turn him on, he's got little batteries, and his neck comes up, and his little heart glows red.
Sounds a bit scary, don't you?
I'll show him. I'll bring him on the show next week.
Oh, that's something to look forward to. But yes, if deporting dangerous aliens, I'm just trying to think. There's a really good alien movie called Mars Attacks, which is absolutely brilliant. And there's lots of dangerous aliens in that. But as far as like individual famous aliens, I can't think of any. Oh, apart from in the film Alien.
Isn't
that
Tom
was
Jones in that film? In Mars
Tom?
Attack?
Thomas
Sorry, say that again.
Jones.
Isn't Tom Jones in Mars Attack?
He is. He makes a cameo appearance in it. It's so funny. It's really, really funny. I love that film. Absolutely love it. Actually, yes, I should hunt that down and watch it again. I haven't watched it for years, but I think it's brilliant. But yes, anyway. So there you go. If you know any dangerous aliens, then apparently they could be deported. And I'm sure if Trump finds out about that, he'll probably deport a good 1.5 million of them in one day, probably. In 1864, on this day, the horse tramway in The Hague opened.
Aha.
Have you ever been on a horse tramway?
No.
No.
Me neither.
I've never been to The Hague.
Really?
I know.
No, we've had this conversation before, and I think I shook my head.
I mean, it's not that exciting, but...
I mean, really,
I'll put it on the list.
It's shocking. In 1867, on this very day, the first barbed wire was patented by Lucian B. Smith of Ohio.
Ooh.
And in 1947, on the 25th of June, the first version of Anne Frank's diary was published in the Netherlands. In 1953, the first passenger to fly commercially around the world took over 100 hours to do it. Sorry, less than 100 hours to do it. Mm-hmm. Even so, that's quite a jaunt. 100 hours on a plane.
That's tough going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's even quicker now, but even so, 100 hours, that's a long, long time. 1960 in Madagascar, they gained their independence from France. And in 1976, The Omen premiered in the US.
Ooh.
Matt, have you seen The Omen?
No.
Oh, don't watch it, Matthew. It's terrifying.
I think it probably is still very scary, actually.
It holds well, this one. Yeah.
Yes.
I remember when
the music as well.
Indeed, yes. Because some other horror movies, like, for example, The Exorcist, when that came out,
Brilliant.
I mean, that terrified people. But if you watch it back now, some of the special effects,
Yeah. Do you know, I think one of the scariest ones of that era was Poltergeist.
Oh, yeah, that was quite spooky.
Yes.
Oh, no. Let's move on from the horror stuff.
In 1977, on the 25th of June, Roy C. Sullivan of Virginia was struck by lightning for the 7th time.
Crumbs. That's quite a feat.
Yeah, you've got to start questioning it after about the 3rd time, surely.
Is that lucky or unlucky?
Well, I should think he's very, very lucky if he's been struck. How many? 7 times?
7 times. And
Joe?
that was in 77. I don't know if it's actually happened even more since then.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Well, no, he's long since deceased, I'm sure, but I believe he was actually a park ranger.
It was what?
Would be a park ranger.
Indeed,
Oh,
his
really?
job was to be in the wilderness and thusly struck by lightning 7 times.
Sorry.
So
once it got to the 3rd time, I would be looking for another job.
Yeah, Mr. Can't take a hint.
Yes.
Sticking with weather, the following year, in 1978, the first use of the rainbow flag, the symbol of gay pride, was made by Gilbert Baker at a march in San Francisco. In 1997, on this very day, Jacques Cousteau, the French oceanographer, died of a heart attack at the age of 87. And in 2011, New York passes a law to allow same-sex marriage. And this day, this was a sad day for me. On this day, 2012, Lonesome George, the last known Pinta Island tortoise, died at a Galapagos National Park, making the subspecies extinct. Oh, Lonesome George. I was very, very upset about this. I had watched documentaries about Lonesome George as a little girl, and I had always wanted to go and visit him in the Galapagos Islands, and I never managed it. However, my husband has met Lonesome George. And the first date when we went out, he told me that he'd seen Lonesome George. I told him I was a fan of Lonesome George. He nearly fell off his chair because he didn't know that I knew Lonesome George.
Because who knew a stripper would have the same name? It's weird.
I'm trying to tell you a nice romantic story here.
It can still be romantic. You guys knew the same stripper. You find romance everywhere.
Finally, on this day, 2019, San Francisco is the first major US city to ban e-cigarettes. And I have a suspicion there will be more to come. Right, birthdays quickly. On this day, 1903, George Orwell, the author, was born. In 1932, Peter Blake, the British artist who is responsible for the cover of the Sgt. Pepper's album, he was born. 1945, American singer-songwriter Carly Simon was born. 1961, Ricky Gervais, the English actor and comedian. And the lovely, lovely George Michael was born on this day in 1963, sadly died in 2016, who will be greatly missed, of course. But for those of you who are having a birthday today, happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
A lovely, lovely day in all your sweatiness.
Enjoy.
Enjoy the sweat.
Yes.
And just quickly, Jackie's joined us. Hi, Jackie. Alex has joined us, and lovely, lovely Ginny has joined us. Hi, Ginny.
Hello, one and all.
Nice of you to make it. So, there you go, this day in history.
Thank you very much. Informative as always.
Thank you.
Well done.
Now, I think it's probably time we had a little bit more information.
Yes, let's do it. Let's get the news done, and then we can bring on our
lovely
guests.
Tracey.
Here we go.
The news with Tracey Taylor.
Yes, good evening, everyone. It's June 25th, and you're listening to the Maastricht Edition on Facebook Live. First, a look at your weekend weather, and Friday is set to hit 32 degrees with sunshine all day. Thunderstorms are expected as we move into the early hours of Saturday, however, and temperatures will drop to around 25. This mix of thunder, showers, and sun will continue into Sunday. Moving to your news bulletin for tonight, the Dutch government has announced further easing of COVID-19 regulations, which will come into effect as of July 1st. Public transport can be used again for non-essential travel, but face masks must be worn. The advice is to avoid traveling at peak times, and employees are still asked to continue to work from home if possible. The 1.5 meter rule remains in place in all situations. Football matches can be played with an audience again as of September, as long as spectators maintain social distance. Chanting and singing will be banned in the stadium, however. It seems the number of rural B&Bs and campsites in the Netherlands is growing. There are now 100,000 places available in the country on more than 2,000 Dutch farms, from tent pitches to glamping to eco-lodges and farmhouse guest rooms. The locations offer everything from tranquility in nature to action-packed adventure escapes. In other news, Dutch politicians have voted in favor of shutting mink farms by the end of this year, after several outbreaks of the coronavirus saw thousands of animals being culled. The government has been asked to close the farms and ban the breeding of animals that are susceptible to the virus. Moving to local news, and Maastricht University has been ranked 6th in the Times Higher Education World University Rankings in the Young Universities category. UN President Professor Dr. Martin Paul is said to be extremely pleased that the university has maintained and, in fact, improved its position in the rankings. And due to a major signal failure, there are no trains from NS or Arriva running in Limburg today. For the moment, trains to the south do not go further than Eindhoven and Venlo. It is not yet known how long the failure will last. And a story from the RTV News in English Facebook page. Maastricht is one of the few cities in the Netherlands that has a vet who can come to your home in case you have concerns about your pet. If you're worried about a pet or animal that's not your own, you can contact the local dierenambulance. With the extremely high temperatures at the moment, keep in mind to provide shelter and access to water for your pet. Go for walkies in the early morning or late evening. Do not leave your pet in your car. Limit exercise, and remember, if the ground is too hot for bare feet, it's too hot for paws. And that's it for tonight. For more local news, you can follow the RTV Maastricht News in English Facebook page on Facebook and Instagram. If you are a local business, be sure to check out the Support Your Local Business South Limburg Facebook page, a joint initiative between #Maastricht and the Maastricht Edition. And don't forget that you can always find us on the Maastricht Edition Facebook page and follow us on Instagram. For all the details, check out the maastrichtedition.nl.
Yay!
Thank you. Just about.
Point about the paws on the pavement.
Yes.
We went for a walk today and we saw this guy walking his dog, and they were walking in the shade. And every time the dog came to a sunny patch, he was like, "Oh!" And then he carried on walking. So he was back in the shade again. It's like,
I know. So people are so stupid. Honestly, really, people have some brains. You rant over. It's really silly, but really, people, watch out for your pets during the hot weather. It's very important. So, yes, there we go.
I'm trying to keep my brains in my head by.
I see that. It was very nice to watch that happening while I was reading the book, actually. I struggled on.
You did really well, Tracey. I'll give you that. You
look like a nurse on your head, actually. Oh, look, we did it. I look better.
Sarah.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello, Sarah.
Hi. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the chaos.
Yes, you sneaked in there when we weren't looking.
I know we were messing around, guys. We weren't looking very professional now.
we are always serious and professional people.
Yes, we are.
Just got to pretend now. Pretend to be.
Yes, we're going to put on our professional faces and act all like we know what we're doing. So,
So, Sarah, please tell us, who are you and where do you come from?
Okay. Well, I'm from the UK, and I was living in Oxford before moving to Maastricht, and I came here almost 6 years ago. So I've been here, since 2014.
okay.
I'm just based in Maastricht. You haven't lived anywhere else in the Netherlands?
No, just in Maastricht. Yeah.
It's one of the
goodness,
best places to live, that's for sure.
I'm wondering, yes, because Oxford is such a beautiful spot. Was it not difficult to leave?
Bikes!
Yes. I mean, actually, there's lots of similarities, I think, between Oxford and Maastricht. Like, the bikes and the kind of historical city centre, cobbled streets, university, rivers running through the centre. So it didn't feel like it was coming far from, it was kind of home from home. But I like Maastricht. It's a beautiful city.
And are you a biker?
Well, that makes it sound as if I'm a motorbiker.
Yes.
I'm a pedal biker. I'm not a biker on a Harley Davidson.
Oh.
But yes, I do like cycling. Yeah. Mountain biking, though, I'm not a big fan of, the Lycra and all the rest of it.
You don't have to worry about mountain biking round here, for goodness sake.
No, indeed.
Oh, I know, but there are. I'm surprised to find quite a lot of hills here in Limburg.
Yeah, if you nip out of the city, out of Maastricht to the areas of Sleenaken and Heinrath and those areas, Vals and so on, there's a little bit more hilly stuff going on.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Actually,
There's quite a few.
And they get a lot of like proper hardcore cyclists coming from the north of the Netherlands. They come down for the weekend and, you know, go off out to Drielandenpunt and those kinds of places. And enjoy that.
Yeah, no, it's a big hill cycling area.
That's true. Lycra everywhere. So
Yes.
Well, okay. I can't really work out a segue between Lycra and books. So
No.
I'm just going to dive straight in and say, Sarah, the reason you've joined us this evening is to talk about books, children's books in particular. And I believe you have a little pop-up store in Maastricht that you want to tell us about.
Yes, I do. So when I moved here, 5-6 years ago, I came here with my 2 children who were 4 and 6 at the time, and sort of quickly realized that there weren't really many places to get English books for children here. There's a couple of bookshops which stock some English books for kids, but the selection was quite limiting. So I thought, well, what am I going to do? Because I love reading, my kids love reading. And so I kind of set myself up initially as an Usborne bookseller. But then kind of quickly realized that actually people also wanted lots of different types of books, not just from Usborne. So I just sort of set myself up as a kind of a bookstore that I can pop up in different places. So a lot of the international community here in Maastricht, the kind of international school, the UWC school, were sort of quite interested, and so I'll have book fairs there, maybe every term or something, and in different cafes around Maastricht, and it's been quite popular. So it's just, I think what a lot of people also want is the same thing, just sort of, good books for children that are in English, and so that's what I stock.
Well, I think it's interesting these days, actually, how the market, of course, has changed with books, because an awful lot of people read digitally these days. But it seems to be with children's books that kids still want to have that physical book. And now, is that because of illustrations in the book, possibly?
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I mean, I think that I'm, not the only one that still likes reading actual books.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm a bit old school. Yeah.
Oh, I must admit, I'm a Kindle girl.
Oh, Jill! We can no longer be friends. That's it. You're dead to me.
Well, I'll tell you for why. I love the fact that I've got 5,000 books in my hand, and when I go on holiday, and I do read a lot when I'm on holiday, then I love the fact that, you know what, I might start a book and no, I'm not feeling it, I want to try another book, and I don't have to go to a library or carry around like 10 books with me on holiday just in case. I've got that with me all the time, and I can read maybe 3 or 4 books at a time if I want to, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I mean they're great, aren't they? I've never really got into Kindle. I would like, I think, perfect for holidays.
Yes.
Because I do find my hand luggage and my suitcase is always over the required weight limit and it's often because of the book. So they're not great for traveling around with.
Well, they're not good for illustrations.
Oh, for Kindles, no. No.
If you want a children's book with illustrations, yeah, it just doesn't really work on a Kindle.
Yeah, exactly. And I think especially when you're learning the language, whether it's English or your own or any language, seeing images and physically turning the page and being able to go easily turn back the page and refer back. And I think there's just something really wonderful about the kind of physicality of a real book. And a lot of the books that I also stock are really beautifully illustrated. And I think a lot of the children do really like to sort of browse the books and physically see what's there, and they can pick them up and they can open them and they can put them back and then they can pick up another one, and there's just something about that whole process of kind of browsing, which obviously is not the same browsing online. Obviously you can do it, and you can do the the swiping, but it's I think especially for children, there's something really lovely about physically picking up a book and holding it and feeling the weight of it and the type of paper it's made of, and all of that kind of thing is just an experience in itself.
I think it's true, because every time I go to a bookshop, I have the same experience. And I love going to bookshops. There's that smell, and you can just like, oh, what's this? Whereas if you're online, you have to like specifically look for things. Whereas if you're in the space, you can just pick it up and have a look and come across things you never even thought about.
Yes, exactly. I particularly love secondhand bookstores as well. I just love browsing and finding random paperbacks here and there. But going back to Sarah's point, I think the key thing is to encourage children to get into reading, and if physically touching books and having the colors or pictures or just the idea, I think that's really a positive thing. These days we're so thrown with PlayStations and computers and tablets and everything else. It's wonderful if we can still, it's almost like an old art at this point, reading a book. But it's great if you can get children involved, and if that means browsing and picking up things that have pretty colours and lovely illustrations, all the better, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I've been really surprised actually by how popular the books have been. I kind of thought, oh, it will just be me that wants this, and then really quickly I sort of realised actually, the children and the parents, the parents for the parents, but the parents for the children as well. But the children, they would just keep on coming back, and it would be like they were just sort of literally getting through the books and just wanting another one, and it's really lovely that is still a kind of a really positive thing for children to experience, especially now, when we're all having to be on our devices all the time, and you just spend your whole life as a parent trying to get your child off a device, and now we've had to do everything online. So I think a book is just such a nice welcome break from a screen.
Absolutely. And again, if it's something you can develop a love for as a child, it will stay with you into adulthood. And I'm so grateful to my mom and dad. They were very keen, not pushy, but read books. And I'm so grateful to them, because I love to read a book, and I think it's wonderful. Great initiative, that you brought this to Maastricht.
Thank you.
It's to find
great.
You, how's the best way to find out where you are if you're popping up all over the place?
So I guess just initially they can find me on the Facebook page, so Children's World of Books, and on Instagram is the same, Children's World of Books, and people can, if people want a book, or they can see what I have already, they can just get in touch, and if they're local, we can just arrange delivery or posting, or they can pop by and pick it up. I'm sort of local in Maastricht, and hopefully once the schools are kind of back up and running, I'll start having more events again and book fairs around the city. I had to just cancel the last one at one of the schools that would have been happening just before lockdown. So, hopefully sort of come September again, things will start happening. But, I'm here, and I can sort of showcase the books online, and people can just come over or get in touch with me to let me know what they're looking for.
Very exciting.
Fantastic.
May I ask?
Sorry,
just had a quick question. I was curious if there's a particular book or series that's really popular at the moment, because recently we've had the Harry Potter series and things like that. Is there any writer or stories that are really hot at the moment?
Obviously Harry Potter, always popular. Roald Dahl, actually, all the kind of classic storytellers are also always do really well. And I think especially for kind of children sort of being introduced to reading independently, those brilliant stories are always a winner. For younger kids, all the kind of Julia Donaldson books are also brilliant, and the kind of rhyme and and the imagery that goes along with all of those as well. But all the kind of the pop-up books and the tactile ones that you can open, and they're always sort of really popular amongst younger children as well. So this series, like, I don't know if you can see in behind me here, but these Little People, Big Dreams, These are sort of really nice ones. They're kind of about real people. So this one is Maya Angelou.
Yeah.
So they're really nice for, again, sort of younger kids, but just telling the story about their lives in a really wonderful beautifully illustrated way as well. So they were doing quite well.
Just before you go though, I did want to something I've noticed recently is that a lot of the stories now also have an awareness that as a parent you are going to be reading to your child, and there's kind of some older, not adult themes, because obviously you can't have adult themes, but there's a sense of humour that's running through that also keeps the parent engaged as well, which I think is quite important.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, some of the kind of comedy ones like David Walliams, who's really popular, they're brilliant for kids and that kind of silly, crazy humour, but also not all, but some parents also really find it funny and it's on their level as well, so it's doing sort of both jobs for enjoyment of reading, and also the kids love it and think it's brilliant as well.
Brilliant stuff. Well, it's been lovely to have you on the show, Sarah. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
You've got us signed up because we're all avid readers here. So and actually, I was telling my husband the other day. For those who don't know, my husband is Dutch, so I was trying to explain to him about the Magic Roundabout. And I really fancy rereading the stories from the Magic Roundabout, actually. But when you try to explain what it is, it's a little tricky.
Well, there's probably good reason why it's tricky.
But I noticed that that they are still out there, so I'm gonna buy them again and start reading them. But for anybody who does want to get any of these books through Sarah, we'll put all your details onto our Facebook page and onto our Instagram page as well, so they will be able to find you. Thanks you again, Sarah, for joining us. We wish you the best of luck, and hopefully we'll see you popping up around Maastricht.
I hope so. Okay, great. Well, thanks for having me.
So much, Sarah.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye. Oh, what a lovely lady.
Lovely.
Really
I remember
nice.
the excitement I had reading Enid Blyton,
Yes.
Roald Dahl,
Yes.
these books, and finding out there was other books as well in the series. Oh, I could read the whole series.
Fantastic.
The Secret Seven.
The famous five. I have the original collection that I had. I still have it. It's back in my parents' house, but I still have it. It was, I think, 21 books. Wonderful. But Enid Blyton was particularly good.
I used to love the Chronicles of Narnia. That was.
Oh, Matthew, yes,
I love that.
fabulous indeed. Really, really good. You see, it's all the old stuff,
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to read those again for sure.
Yes,
for sure.
Fabulous.
So, Matt,
Yes.
what have you learned this week that you didn't know last week?
I learned the most misspelled word in the English language.
Oh.
And I'm going to test you and see if you can spell it.
Oh, God, no.
Oh, God. It's too hard for tests.
The word is separate. Can you
and I know why this is misspelled. It's because some people, because there's a confusion with an E and an A that's in the middle.
Yes, so what is it, Joe? How do you spell it?
You spell it with a W.
No.
No.
Separate.
Right, Tracey?
Oh, right. Oh, gosh, look at this. I have to think if I was typing it now. SEP. I think Joe's right.
Joe is right. That is
Yes.
how you
I should hope so.
Thank goodness for that.
But that is the most misspelled word in English.
It is, yes.
Something.
Yes.
Good.
Of course, these days with corrective text, we don't have to worry about those things so much.
Funny. And when English is your native language, you don't really think. You just kind of write or spell. And then if you have to think about it, you doubt yourself.
No, it's true. No, I doubt myself an awful lot, especially with writing stuff. If I haven't got, if I'm writing it by hand, pen, the old-fashioned way, pen and paper, I'll look at something and I think, I know it's wrong. I know I've spelled it wrong. How have I spelled that wrong? What have I done? And you just question yourself, and then eventually you find out, no, I haven't spelled it wrong at all. It's absolutely right, but for some reason it looks alien. I don't know if that's
It's so used to the predictive text.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
Not used to it.
Yeah.
Indeedy, my goodness.
Well, coming up, people, we will still have our exclusive performance from Josh Island before the end of the show. But before then, of course, Matt's going to be going Dutch.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So I'm staying with the staycation theme. So this week we're going to the Utrechtse Heuvelrug.
Pardon? Utrechtse Heuvelrug. The Utrecht Hill Walk route, I think, is it?
Something like that, yeah.
Right.
It's another hilly area. We were talking about hills earlier. So it's one of the most beautiful national parks in the Netherlands, and it's near Utrecht, around Utrecht. And it's also the most silent place in the country.
Oh.
So if you want a bit of quiet, peace and quiet, and you want to see some nature, it's a good place to go. So there's lots of different woods, and there's lots of sand dunes. Ooh. And also, it's a really historic place with lots of castles. There's like over 100 different castles and stately homes built by wealthy Amsterdam merchants and people from Utrecht. And you can go up the river Vecht. Don't know how you say that.
Oh God!
You can go up that river and you can see all these castles on the river banks with their summer houses, the Gothic towers, and it's like being in the fairy tale apparently. So again, I've convinced myself I want to go on holiday to this place because it sounds great because you can go and relax in the nature, you can take in a bit of history, a bit of culture. There's even a pyramid. There's the pyramid of Austerlitz, which celebrates a victory during the Napoleonic Wars. And it's also not that far away from Maastricht, unlike the other places I told you about in the past few weeks. It's just a 2-hour train journey to Utrecht, and then you can get a regional train from the main station, or you can even cycle because it's not that far out of the city. So there's lots of different options, and you can do lots of different walks and photography if you're into photography like Tracey, or you can do cycling. So there's lots of places you can go, and it's a really interesting place, I think.
Lovely.
Very nice.
That's very nice.
Duly noted. Maybe I'll leave the bounds of Maastricht City and explore Utrecht.
Yeah.
Nice. I've never been there either. God,
really?
Oh, Trace.
I know. Only Amsterdam and Zeeland. That's it. Never mind. It's for a whole other show.
So there was a question that started off last week, which was what tennis player does Matt look like? And we've put the question out there, but Tracey, you said that you've got a couple of possibilities.
I had a look, and it's quite tricky because Matt's quite a young chap, and many of the tennis players are now quite old as well. So you have to kind of think in the past. He could pass possibly for young Jimmy Connors with facial hair.
Yes, I can see that.
Couldn't you? Yes.
I can see that.
He's Googling Jimmy Connors.
Yes.
He was, yes. And another chap who's a German tennis player, he's called Alexander Zverev. And Matthew, with the long hair from certain angles, possibly could look like him too. Those were the two I was going to propose.
Okay. Well, we're going to put the question out to the nation. What tennis player does Matt look like? Because apparently there are quite a few tennis players he looks at, and looks like. Sorry, and maybe we could get all the suggestions together for next week, and then put them all up together, and then pick a winner.
Let's take a vote. Yeah, let's see which tennis player gets the most votes.
Absolutely.
Let's see.
So which tennis player does Matt look like?
Well, we'll decide that in the moment, I suppose, Matthew. Yes.
Best start learning some tennis.
You best, yes.
Oh, no,
tennis
this
weather. No, too hot
Goodness
for tennis.
me. So, Tracey, have you got any titty bitties with us?
I do. I have two important titty bitties.
Okay.
Yes, okay. In case you guys missed it, the lovely Petra at the Oila Concept Store in Maastricht now has non-medical face masks for sale.
Fantastic.
They're in various colours, available in a store, men, women, children, and everyone in between. The cost for adults is €5, for children €4.50, and all of the proceeds go to a project in Senegal. So pop by Oila Concept Store on the Strat and make your purchases. And some more good news, the fabulous folks at Space and Material are starting up their creative workshops once again. Now, social distancing will be taken into account, and their classes will have limited capacity. But if you fancy checking out what they have coming up, have a look at their socials and website. And to whet your appetite, on July 19th, there's a class in hand spinning. So quite exciting. So these guys are very cool. So that's Space and Material. So you can check that out and see what you think, if something grabs your fancy.
Fantastic.
Yes, it do.
Well, we've come to the end of the show. A big thank you to everybody who has joined us this evening, especially to Sarah, and talking about all her books. It's it's got me thinking about Enid Blyton again and Roald Dahl, and I'm going to have to download these books and read them again for sure, because they're
Travis.
I have some of them in my bookcase. I might even dig one out after the show and have a flick through.
Excellent stuff. We hope you all have a very nice weekend. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you to RTV for making this possible. We are going to leave you with a little tune from Josh Island. Josh, unfortunately, couldn't join us this evening, but he did record a little tune for us, which we're going to play for you now. It's absolutely beautiful. He's going to play us out of the show. If you do want any more information about Josh, you can go to his website, joshisland.com. I was very lucky to have a little chat with him during the week, the interview of which will be on our YouTube channel very shortly, so you can find out some more information about him from there. But in the meantime, here is Josh, and we will see you guys next week. Thank you ever so much for joining us.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Stay
Bye
cool.
for now.
Ciao,
Bye.
guys.
Hey everyone, this tune is called Right Now. It's only a matter of what you expect, but I would never hurt you. To wake up to something as honest as love is all I can do. Does it unnerve your soul? Will heal, but the scars remain. Can I soften them with honey? You always find there's someone to blame, but I remain by your side if you do the same. 'Cause I've never felt the way you make me feel. And who knows, baby, it was only just a moment in time. The way you looked at me, I have nothing to hide. And right now, I guess I'm crazy enough, but I just can't help myself. Let me build your house without bad blood, give you my love instead. Right now, right here, right now, right here, right now. I'll just give you my love instead. Right now. Hear you like to talk in your sleep, talking about the future. But if there are secrets you want me to keep, then I remain by your side if you do the same. 'Cause I've never felt the way that you make me feel. And ooh, now, baby, it was only just a moment in time. The way you looked at me, I have nothing right now.